From the heart of Yerevan, this is ＳիվիլՆեթ's Daily News Digest. I'm Maria Titizian, and here are the top stories for Friday, March 7. Hundreds of angry residents block a major highway in Armenia. Also, tortured Armenian villager remains in hospital. Plus, Armenian government moves to silence a powerful oversight body. And later, Armenia's Paralympian is in Sochi. Mamikon Khojoyan, the elderly Armenian villager who was released from Azerbaijani captivity 3 days ago, has presented with multiple signs of torture. OSCE representatives have been informed about the numerous wounds and injuries on the 77-year-old man's body, who had inadvertently crossed into Azeri territory on January 28 and was accused of being a spy. Khojoyan suffers from mental illness. During Wednesday's OSCE monitoring on the Armenia-Azerbaijan border, Yevgeny Sharov and William Pryor, field assistants of the personal representative of the OSCE chairman in office, were informed about the injuries that Khojoyan had sustained while he was held by the Azerbaijanis. The press service of the Azerbaijani Ministry of Defense has claimed that Khojoyan was already wounded when he was taken prisoner. Larissa Alaverdian, the executive director of the non-governmental organization Foundation Against the Violation of Law, in a press conference yesterday said that they are preparing to apply to the European Court of Human Rights and relevant bodies of the United Nations regarding the torture of Mamikon Khojoyan while in the hands of Azerbaijani armed forces. Hundreds of angry residents from 7 villages in the Arakadzodin Mars blocked the Yerevan-Abaran highway as a show of protest against the proposed construction of a hydroelectric plant being built near the Abaran water reservoir. The residents demanded that the construction be stopped due to potential ramifications the construction may have on their water supply. The residents of those villages live off apple groves, highly dependent on irrigation water coming from that reservoir. Scuffles broke out among the protesters and a group of men who appeared to be plainclothes police officers. Sarkis Sahagian, governor of the Arakadzodin region, arrived at the protest and attempted to convince the villagers that the construction of the hydroelectric plant had been temporarily halted. However, the residents were quick to respond by noting that new pipes had been delivered for construction. The governor wouldn't confirm that the project will be scrapped, but he insisted that the plant would not affect the irrigation system. The road was opened only after the governor made assurances. However, villagers say that if construction does go ahead, they will block the highway once again. The Armenian government approved a bill yesterday limiting the powers of the Audit Chamber, the country's powerful oversight body that made allegations last year of serious misuse of funds from the state budget. The new bill, if approved by Parliament, will ban the chamber from making what it calls political evaluations of financial abuses and will consequently be barred from making conclusions on the legal consequences of those allegations. Ishkhan Sakharian, the head of the Audit Chamber, caused a storm of controversy in 2013 when he revealed the abuses and even went so far as to say that government spending might have been misused or wasted in recent years. This had drawn the ire of President Serge Sarkisyan. The opposition is calling this step further proof of rampant government corruption and clampdowns and the regime's move toward a more authoritarian form of governance. The OSCE Minsk Group held consultations with the government of Sweden earlier this week to discuss the Karabakh conflict. The US co-chair James Warlick tweeted several times about the meetings. He said, "We continue work with Russia and France on peace in Karabakh based on non-use of force, territorial integrity and self-determination." Later, he tweeted that they had briefed members of Swedish Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee on Nagorno-Karabakh. Strong interest in peace, he had said. And then later he tweeted, "Thank you, Sweden and Carl Bildt, for your active engagement on conflict resolution. Let's continue our work together in the South Caucasus," and he had hashtagged NK. The presidents of Armenia and Azerbaijan met in Vienna on November 19, 2013. This was followed by meetings of the ministers of foreign affairs of the two countries. The Minsk Group co-chairs noted that while the negotiations themselves are a positive step forward, difficulties in the process correspond to the complexity of the conflict. The co-chairs had met with Armenian Foreign Minister Edward Nalbandian on February 22 in Paris and plan on meeting his Azerbaijani counterpart Elmar Mammadiyarov in the near future. Ambassador Hans Horbach, the Netherlands ambassador to Armenia based in Tbilisi, Georgia, came to ＳivilNet and spoke about the 2014 Nuclear Security Summit to convene at The Hague, the Netherlands, at the end of March. Ambassador Horbach discussed Armenia's position as a country with nuclear capacity within the global context of nuclear safety and security. He also spoke about Armenia's relations with Iran and Georgia and said that the European Union continues to seek engagement with Armenia in the sphere of democratization. Here's a short clip.
The importance that whatever decision is being taken by the government and whatever the option that is being chosen, that safety should be first and foremost for the population and for the region. Because, you know, if there is a fallout, I mean, nuclear energy, and that is something that doesn't stop at borders. So I think that is an interest globally and regionally to keep the plant as safe as possible.
To watch the full interview, you can follow the link on your screen. Vivacell, a leading mobile phone operator in Armenia, has commercially launched its 4G LTE network to locations in Yerevan, Gyumri, Vanatsor, Dilijan, and Zargatsor. Vivacell MTS states that the network has a theoretical capacity of up to 150 megabits and has proven to be both efficient and quick according to speed tests. The 4G LTE service initially was launched in December 2010 and was only available for business centers around Yerevan. Today, that service has been extended to cover about 33% of Armenia's populated areas. Ralph Yerikian, Vivacell MTS General Manager, announced that this large-scale attempt to introduce 4G LTE will give Vivacell customers serious competitive advantages. He also added, the nationwide rollout of 4G LTE positions Armenia as one of the selected global leaders in 4G deployment, as well as presents Armenia to the world as a country with more attractive communication infrastructure. Meher Avanesyan, a 33-year-old alpine skier and a double amputee, will be representing Armenia at the Sochi Winter Paralympic Games. Approximately $16,000 have been allocated from Armenia's state budget to ensure Armenia's participation in the World Games. Avanesyan, who is a Nagorno-Karabakh native, had both his arms amputated at the age of 6 as a result of being electrocuted. At the age of 12, Avanesyan began alpine skiing and by 1998 had participated in the Winter Paralympic Games. He also competed in the 2000 Summer Paralympic Games for sailing. According to Ruzana Sarkisyan, Secretary General of the National Paralympic Committee of Armenia, Meher serves as a good example and role model to people with disabilities having difficulties fully integrating into society. The United States, the National Security Service, and the Armenian Border Guard held a ceremony on March 6 to mark the completion of a 2-year cooperative effort aimed at reducing the threat of proliferation of weapons of mass destruction along Armenia's northern border with Georgia. U.S. Ambassador to Armenia John Heffern attended the event, as well as NSS, or National Security Service Deputy Director Arzuman Harutyunyan, and the Border Guard Troops Commander Major General Armen Abrahamian. The project provided equipment for WMD detection and identification, communication, surveillance, mobility, tactical infrastructure, and post and patrol operations, and also conducted training for the use and maintenance of the equipment. Turkish journalist and author Sibel Oral says she was fired from the pro-government Akşam Daily on Wednesday over tweets which were critical of Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Regarding her dismissal, she said, in an unofficial statement which was handed to me, it was said that the Akşam Daily board does not want to keep working with me and the board members agree on letting me go. The justification was that her so-called trial period had come to an end with the publication. Oral has worked at several dailies for the last 12 years and says she always shared her ideas on social media. She went on to say that she created a special section called Akşam Trend, that she is not a rookie journalist and wasn't on a trial period. She added, this is against the law as well. In Turkey, many journalists have been dismissed for their political convictions. A similar case was the dismissal of Azerbaijani Mahir Zeynali of today's Zaman over contentious tweets. He was actually deported for his anti-government position. Turkey's record on media rights has worsened over the last several years. Reporters Without Borders ranked Turkey 154th out of 180 countries in freedom of media ratings. The New York-based Committee to Protect Journalists has said that Turkey remains the world's leader for imprisoned reporters. The governments of both Armenia and Moldova have agreed to commence a visa-free regime, according to the official press service of the government. The intended purpose of the visa change is to develop and strengthen economic, trade, scientific, political, and other ties between both republics. Citizens of both countries can freely enter, exit, transfer, or move between the republics without acquiring an additional visa, but are permitted to stay 90 days over a 6-month period starting from the initial entry date. Last night, I went to see world-renowned jazz pianist Ikran Hamasyan perform at the Aram Khachadurian Hall in Yerevan, and as promised, I am reporting about it. The hall was packed and the performance, well, it was interesting. Hamasyan is known as the hottest pianist in jazz, selling out arenas and earning fervent praise from the likes of Chick Corea and Herbie Hancock. Hamasyan says that the language he uses when he improvises is Armenian folk music. His 2-hour set last night took us on a journey from delicate versions of hymns and traditional music to improvisational electronica. Even though I'm still trying to figure it all out, it was an experience I won't soon forget. Take a look. The exchange rate is up on your screen as we take a look at your forecast. It's going to be a partly cloudy day in Yerevan with a high of 13 and a low of 3. Gyumri will have a high of 4 and a low of -4. Stepanakert will be partly cloudy with a high of 13 and a low of 3. And our travel forecast takes us to the city of Allaverdi, where the high will be 13 and the low a 7. The city of Allaverdi, located in Armenia's Lori Mars, has been inhabited since the 2nd millennium BC. This is evidenced by countless archaeological artifacts and monuments that surround the city, including tombs filled with iron weapons, tools, bronze pieces, and ornaments. During the early Middle Ages, Allaverdi was incorporated into the Armenian province of Gugark. However, after Armenia's first partitioning in 387, Gugark was divided between Armenia and Georgia, Allaverdi falling in the territory of the latter. It was not until Arab domination of Armenia in the 7th century when the province of Gugark was reunited with the rest of the Armenian territory. For centuries, the city and province switched between domestic and foreign kingdoms. The province of Gugark became one of the central provinces of Armenia under the Zakharid dynasty. Not only was it an important buffer territory between Armenia and Georgia, but the area was rich in copper reserves. During Zakharid rule, many important churches and monuments were built and renovated, including Haghbat Monastery, Sanain Monastery, Akhtala Fortress, Gobayr, and many more. Sanain was also one of Armenia's finest universities during the Middle Ages. Under Imperial Russian rule in the 18th century, Greek miners began moving into Allaverdi to mine copper for the empire. In the early 20th century, the Allaverdi copper mines were sold to a French firm until Soviet forces conquered the city. The modern foundations of Allaverdi were set during Soviet times, and the city became increasingly more industrial. Today, the city has a population of about 16,000 inhabitants. And that is our digest for this Friday, March 7th. First of all, we'd like to apologize to our viewers for all the noise that you're hearing through my microphone as construction continues on Northern Boulevard. Nonetheless, to ease your tension, we leave you today with Hasmik Harutyunyan performing traditional wedding folk tunes. Have a safe and pleasant weekend, and I will see you back here on Monday.
I